Yeah. So, all right, it's
Oh.
6:30. About to start with comedian origin stories. I have Patrick. Patrick, how do you pronounce your last name? Uh, I
uh,
know Lopez. So Ramirez, right?
Ramirez,
All right,
like
all
the
right.
Night
It's not a good
Stalker.
stage name, but all right. I have Patrick Ramirez and I have Patrick Lopez here, man. Two of my good friends, very funny dudes. Thank you guys for doing this. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
Of
blocking
course.
out your Fridays. I'm pretty sure you're very busy guys with everything that's going on. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, protesting, whatever your
I'm
argument
protesting on Zoom later, so make this quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
is.
I don't want to wear my mask anymore.
Couple renegades
So
here.
I ask everyone if you can keep it on mute when they're doing their sets. If you guys want to ask some questions of them, just throw them in the chat. Um, but when they're doing their sets, if you want to take it off mute to laugh, so they know they can hear you and see you and know that you're laughing, that's all good. Um, other than that, man, let's get into it. I'll just start it off, man. But like, how everybody's quarantine is going. Like this is kind of crazy, right? This whole end of times with nothing to do. I finally figured out how to fold like a bed sheet. Like I figured that out. Like I took all this time and figured out how to do that. And it's funny. I don't know about you guys, but I'm doing things that I thought I'd never do ever in my life. Like play with my kids. Like I never thought I would like catch. You want to catch? Do that? No Xbox. You want to do that? Catch? All right. It's crazy. I don't know. Patrick, do you guys still have your jobs? Do you guys still are you guys still working and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of lost my job. It was crazy too because I was about to get a promotion and they were gonna go out to celebrate. They wanted to go to this place. I don't know if you ever heard of this place. It's called Soup Plantation. So I wasn't like I didn't feel too comfortable getting out the car at a place called Soup Plantation. Like I don't know like I don't want anything to do with the word plantation. Like this shirt is like cotton free. Like I don't want anything to do like established 1865. No, I'm good. Like I don't want to get out. I don't want to get out. I don't know. And he got mad, man. He got mad at me. My boss got mad at me. He's like, man, stop tripping, man. Stop tripping. So many different soups. So many different soups you could pick from. I'm like, pick. Picking anything. Those days are over. Not picking anything. And he's like, all right, then we can go to Cracker Barrel. I don't know if you heard of Cracker Barrel. I don't feel comfortable in that one either. That's like cold. Like you ever walk into a Cracker Barrel and you look around, you be like, yeah, this is where racism was created right here. Like in this old timey store, right? Just that selling that old 1920 candy and stuff like that. And walking on the wood and the wood is creaking and you can hear it. It's like nyeh, 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 nyeh. Like even wood is like disrespecting me, dude, in this place, man. So so just trying out some new things and stuff like that. So let's get up for you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce this first guy. We met at Flappers. We talked it up before we went into the Yoo-Hoo room, and he did his thing, and we've been friends ever since. So everybody, welcome Patrick Lopez.
What's
All right.
up? Hello. It is good to not actually be here. I love it. Real quick, just about let me address the background really quick. I turned on my camera when I was starting the show, and I was like, holy shit, guys, I'm depressed. Let me go ahead and hide that really quick. That's what this is about right here. But yeah, it's been weird, man. I've been wanting to talk about the last day before quarantine because I've had a hell of a day. March 18th, it was a big day for me. Started the day by going to my barber, right? Turns out it would be the last haircut I would have for a while, and it's one of the worst haircuts I've ever gotten. If I had to name the haircut, I would have named it My Barber Was Watching Hitchcock on Netflix. You don't know true terror until you look at the mirror, and then you just see this. Oh shit. It was horrible. From there, I then went to a Hollywood party. I tell you it's a Hollywood party so you don't freak out when I tell you there was a tent selling edibles in the back.
That's Hollywood.
So yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, guess I'm buying edibles today. So I went over, I purchased the edible from the cashier dealer. Have we decided what we're calling these guys that sell them legally? Is it dealer? I'm going dealer. So I bought the edible from the dealer and I eat it in front of him. And he then asked me, oh, how does it taste? And I don't know if you guys are super into edibles, but they all taste exactly the same. They taste like you want to be high right now. Nobody is eating them for fun, for taste. Like, what? Okay, whatever. So I go to the side and I'm enjoying this edible. And then I overhear the dealer start talking to the next person. And he goes, you're going to love this. This is our non-cannabis infused edible. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a non-cannabis infused edible is, but it's just a shitty tasting brownie that costs way too much fucking money. From this party, I am then convinced to go to a club. I am not a club person. Like, if the governor got on the news tomorrow and was like, hey, we got a vaccine for corona, but the only thing we're going to open up to stimulate the economy is clubs, I would stay in quarantine. Okay? That's like how much I don't like it. But I'm tripping off my non-cannabis edible, so whatever, I'm not making wise decisions, so I go with my friends. As I go, I enter the club, and I realize that the DJ knows exactly what I'm going through, that I don't want to be here. I know this because he gets on the microphone, he looks me straight in the eyes, and he says, if you're not here to have a good time at this club, get the fuck out. And I turned around, and I left. And that was 6 months ago. I've been in this house ever since. I hope that guy's doing well. It has been interesting, though, to like catch up with my friends and stuff like that, like over Zoom. I am noticing there is a bit of a difference depending on who I talk to. Like, a lot of my LA friends are all usually quarantining with roommates because it's so expensive to live here. And I think that's a bit of a shame because when you're quarantining alone versus when you're quarantining with people, it's very different experiences. For instance, let's talk about masturbation. When you're quarantining with roommates, it's all about when you can masturbate, right? It's a skill set. It's scheduling. It's things that you can like endorse on LinkedIn, right? But when you're quarantining by yourself, it's all about when you should masturbate. And that's about what's in here. It's a very different experience. And if you take anything away from me, from this set, it's that you should have your roommates endorse scheduling on your LinkedIn. But yeah, there have been some negatives too. I did just get a letter in the mail from my landlord, and that letter stipulated that our rent will be increasing by $200. Let me get a Zoom sigh. Yeah, thank you. And I gotta tell you, I'm more mad about why the rent is increasing more than the rent is increasing. On the letter, if you recall, there was about a small earthquake a couple months ago. On the letter, it says, we found out that in the event of a large earthquake, our building will probably remain standing. So we're going to increase your rent by $200. Yeah. Listen.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Listen, I get it. I'm a comedian who's doing comedy to people. So I get that I don't know a lot of things, okay? I understand that. But $200 seems a little steep for probably, right? Like, imagine that I convinced you to pay an extra $200 to join this Zoom show so that you could probably see the best comedy you've ever seen. How fucking pissed would you be right now? It's free and you're pissed. I know, I can tell. But it's not, like, this experience isn't all just getting mad and pontificating about masturbation. There have been some positives as well. I've been meeting people in my building, which has been cool. Like, I haven't ever met anybody. I'm never usually here for this long. And the other day I had an interesting experience in my elevator where somebody came in, and I guess I was looking at him for too long. I don't really know, because he reacted negatively. He just all of a sudden said, "Yo, man, I'm not homeless." And I was like, I don't really care, man. Then he didn't follow it up well either. He's like, "I'm not homeless. I'm a ghost hunter." Like, what? Fuck it. Let's go down this logic. What do you mean you're a ghost hunter? What have you seen so far? He goes, well, I'll tell you. I haven't seen much so far, but usually what I'll see is I'll be in one room, right, and I'll be doing something, and I'll run over to another room, and when I'm in this other room, the lights will shut themselves off, right? And when I run back to investigate, the lights will turn themselves back on like nothing happened. And I got to tell you, Zoom, when I heard that, my heart fucking sank. Because I was going to have to explain to a grown-ass man what motion sensor lights were. But then I didn't say that. I didn't tell him. Like, I realized, like, after a while, after I'm sitting there, I realized what the actual issue was. And I was like, hey, listen, man, I got this earlier. This is a non-cannabis infused edible. Go ahead and switch to that, buddy. Guys, my name has been Patrick Lopez. Thank you so much for listening.
Woo!
Patrick. Oh man, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of masturbation jokes there, buddy.
It's been lonely, man.
A little bit too honest. No.
Yeah. I haven't talked to a person in like 6 months. My bad.
No, this comedy is honest, so it's good. It's good. Oh man. All right. So we're gonna go into the other Patrick, the next Patrick. You know, I didn't do this on purpose. I didn't do this on purpose. So we're gonna go into and you guys are both Spanish. What are the odds? But it's also like I don't know. But this Patrick, I think we met at Flappers probably, but I know we definitely met in the Comedy Store line numerous of times, just waiting. It's a line at the Comedy Store on Mondays. It can get up to 200 people trying to bid for 16 spots. And I met this guy. I kept seeing him around and around. I was like, I should introduce myself to him and talk to him. And a pretty funny dude, cool guy. So everybody, welcome Patrick Ramirez.
Woo! Yeah. Thank you. I love a good racist Zoom. Are there anybody with Martinez in their last name we can add to this list? Just to totally round it out. Yeah, awesome. Thanks. I'm coming to you from my studio apartment, so this is cool. Having a lot of fun. I mean, this is a tough time if you think about it. Just list it off and see how you feel. We have riots, forest fires, civil unrest. Feels good to be back to normal, doesn't it? A long year. I can feel like I can breathe again. Like, well, all we need is an earthquake, and I can really feel right. Somebody call Weinstein. That's just in front of us. Like, okay, all right, back to normal. And get back to work now. We've all had dark moments too. Like this summer, I had a dark moment. It was so dark, I almost bought a YouTube TV subscription. Rough. I entered my region and everything. I was like, it's come to this. I'm going to go down the road. Whatever happens, it just happens. But, and now everybody thinks the summer ends in July, at the end of July. And we always forget on the West Coast, the summer goes well through August, well through September. And yesterday I'm in my car and I see the temperature on the dash says 101. And I look outside, I'm like, oh my God, it was so hot. I saw a homeless dude stripped down to only 3 jackets. I saw that. I was like, I believe the scientists. Global warming's real. I'm looking at it right now. I don't care. People always say we need to look to science for weather patterns. Screw that. You just need to find a homeless dude. This last February, I saw a homeless dude with 1 sock on. I was like, 6 more weeks of winter. That's all I need. That's where it's at. It's all the science I need. Think of the stresses we've all gone through this last half of the year. I think we've all in our lives had a mask altercation too at this point. We've all come across some drama with it. I had it a few months back. I was picking up some food from Popeye's Chicken, mobile order, no big deal. And I'm in the line and someone comes in. They've got the signs everywhere that says no mask, no service, don't come in without a mask, skull and crossbones. And someone comes in without a mask. And have you ever seen a Popeye's employee move on a normal rate? It's very slow. But in this regard, they were Johnny on the spot. They kicked this dude out. They're like, sir, no mask, please leave. It's for safety. It's for the health of others. Kicked him out. The guy was kicked out of Popeye's Chicken. And the guy said, you're out of here. It's for the health of others. All right, who had the double order of gravy? Come pick it up over here. So like a little bit of a mixed message, Popeyes. All right, with the health and safety, okay? You guys sell fried food and bags of iced tea. With the health of others. So weird, too. And then I get my order, and the clerk says, all right, be healthy out there. I was like, out there? It's not so healthy in here. He's up with it. It's very weird. We've all gone through it. And I knew our masks were going to be an issue. I knew this mask thing was not going to work. I knew because of the way we tried to sell it to people. We tried to tell everybody, wear the mask for the sake of others, for the health of others. And I kept thinking, like, for the health of others, don't sell it that way. We're not even good with car blinkers. Health of others. Car blinkers are the easiest safety form you can have. It's been in every car for 70 years, but 100 times you come to a stop sign and you go, screw it. He knows what I'm doing. Let him figure it out. Just poor packaging on the mask, Here was my, as a everyday person, I'm very positive. Nothing really affects me or has gotten me down this last year until 2 weeks ago when I was in my car and I saw a man out on the street wearing an LA Lakers Dwight Howard jersey, and I got scared. I was like, you did not pick Dwight Howard as your jersey to wear around Los Angeles. And it was a home jersey too. I was like, that's a cry for help. This man needs therapy. Dwight Howard, you wouldn't wear a Dwight Howard jersey. He wasn't even the best on his own team. Wearing a Dwight Howard jersey would kind of be like saying you were really into Star Wars, and I ask you, oh yeah, who's your favorite character? And you go, Howie Mandel. didn't add up for me at all. I had trouble with it. I had to spend the rest of the day. I was like, if he just had a Derek Fisher jersey, I was like, all right, he's going to get back on his feet. I have confidence. It's really tough, but I do think Zoom, like how lucky are we that we have Zoom? Because we couldn't have done this 10 years ago. So much so that I got in a Zoom fight a couple times now. And I got to say, if you're going to get in a fight, do it on Zoom. Because every time someone makes a good point, you just go, oh shit, your audio cut out. I couldn't hear what you said there. Was that agree to disagree? Okay, no problem. We all said some things. I'll catch up with you. And then what you do in a Zoom fight, here's what you have to make sure of in a Zoom fight. Every time you make a point and you log off, you have to remember your little profile picture comes up after you log off. So you can't say like, oh yeah, well you left me stranded at the airport. Log off, but it's a picture of you eating cotton candy or something. Make sure you don't have that. You gotta have a tough Zoom exit strategy / picture. I'll tell you who loves Zoom. Married people love Zoom. I have a couple married friends, and at first they were like, let's all get together on Zoom. Let's chat, let's see what's going on with each other. So we do it for a few weeks. And then one of my married friends said, oh, you on Zoom right now? I was like, let's do it. I got on Zoom. I just watched him watch TV. He was doing Zooms to hide out from his family at some point. He's like, oh, sorry, baby. Hey, hang on to those dishes. I got to meet up with Patrick. He's having some life problems. He went downstairs and played NBA 2K, and I watched him.
Oh, my God, that's so
I was in a Zoom meeting once, and I was the only one in the meeting. And I didn't even leave the meeting. I logged on to the meeting. I was like, hello? Anybody? And then I was like, well, somebody's going to come around. I'm just going to stay here. I'll just write it out. It was great. I've had a lot to think about because I have a birthday coming up this year. It's been coming up for about 11 months now, so I'm really excited. And the tricky thing about age is you should never complain about your age. Never complain about your age, because no matter how old you get, someone older than you doesn't think you're shit. I'm convinced. No matter what, all throughout history, you'll hear someone say like, oh, you know what? Getting older. I like this one. When someone complains about their age and they say like, oh, Just had a birthday. Can't do what I used to. You'll see. You'll see. I just had a birthday. You'll see when you get to my age. And then they tell you their age and they're actually younger than you. They're like, hey, I don't think you're getting old. I think you just live long. I'm very traditional though, because I want to get married because I want to have a family. I want to have kids, and I want to have one of each: one boy, one girl, one gay one. So that's just how I was raised. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening.
All right, man. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Patrick. Man, I appreciate you, man. You're like, you're one of those guys in flappers. Are you a paid regular there now, or in flappers?
No. I'm actually an unpaid non-regular there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do they pay? I don't know.
If you
That's
would
for
have
another
told me they paid, I would have walked out of here right now. I'd be like, you got paid?
It's an inside comedian joke. All right. It's a very depressing joke, but it's based in truth.
Very real.
All right. So a lot of people doing comedy shows on Zoom, or like come to my comedy show and chop it up with comedy. But not only do I want to do comedy, I want to also interview people and just know why they chose to do comedy, because it's either you're at the bottom or you're all the way Kevin Hart level at the top, and it's a lot of like BS stuff in the middle that some people will quit, but it kind of like pertains to anybody wanting to pursue anything in life. So I'm just gonna get into some questions and this is for either one of you guys. You guys can answer first. What made you want to be a comedian? Like what was that like pinnacle point that happened in your life, like that said, I'm gonna do comedy. I know for me, I went out to a D.L. Hughley show, and I made the mistake of sitting in the front row, and he just like tore into the whole crowd and like picked at everybody. And I was like, after that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. So that was like my point. So what was your point?
You want to go? Or you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think mine was I grew up in a really small town, and I didn't have like a lot to do. So I got really into like playing music and stuff like that. And I thought that was the way I was going to do it, but I was just very not good at playing music. And I realized that I was a lot better at making people laugh and doing stuff. And then when I realized like it was like a job you could do, and I got super into like Conan, Craig Ferguson, like a lot of late night TV, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That's it right there.
I like the question because being a comedian is the only profession where you get asked, why did you want to become a comedian? No one ever's like, hey, why did you want to become a CPA? Like, oh, well, I was watching a lot of H&R Block commercials. I'm like, comedy is so like that because it's such a departure from anything traditional, I guess. So you just assume there's some sort of drive behind it. So I always just enjoyed it and found it a fun art form, in the sense of like, it's very risky and it's a weird production in the sense it takes no production. It takes a microphone and just people listening, and that's it. So I think it's just an art form that's just interesting and attractive to me. I didn't have that one moment where I was like, that's it, cancel massage therapy school. I'm doing this.
This is what I want to do. All right. So tell me about this, and I'm sure you guys can remember this well. The first time you really got on stage, like the first time you stopped with the hand brush in the bathroom, be like, all right, I got my set together. Like the first time you decided, like, yeah, I'm gonna say this craziness in front of people and see what happens. Like the first time, like it was like a nervous feeling because you don't know what you're doing. I remember I was in a student contest at FSU, and they gave us 3 minutes, and my heart was beating fast, and I get up there and I said some stupidness that I probably won't even say today, and like all these college students just went crazy for the very first thing, and then that's kind of like when my heart stopped beating fast, and I'm like, all right, I can do this. But it's such a like, it's almost a like feeling of like adrenaline rush, like almost like you're bungee jumping or something like that, because you go either way. And like, I'll be honest with you, like the more urban shows go, the more it can go, like you can almost get booed. So it's like, even more of a like do or die moment. So Patrick, tell us about that first time that you like got on stage and how that was.
You take it this time.
Okay. Do you remember your first joke though? Do you remember anything from that?
Oh,
set?
I remember it. Yeah.
But you don't want to say it. It's in the
I tell it. It might not be funny, but I went to school
mine.
in Tallahassee, and like it was no parking, whatever. So you can get your car towed like at the drop of a hat, parking in the wrong place. So I get on stage and I say, you know what the biggest problem in this city is? I said, it's not crime, it's not drugs, it's not prostitution. I was like, it's tow trucks, and people were like, oh yeah. I'm like, all right. And that was
Keep
the
it going
joke.
for E.L. Smith, the tow truck.
Yeah.
They loved it, man. That was a joke.
I remember the first time I got on stage, you nailed it perfectly. You sign up. I went to go watch an open mic at first. I was like, I'll go watch it first. And then next week I'll sign up. So I go sign up. And I definitely remember the MC saying, okay, you're going to be after this guy. So you're standing there on the side of the stage and your heart is just beating out of your chest. And at one moment you do say, all right, I could just fucking run out of here right now. And I will be safe. I won't have to do it.
Yeah.
But then you go up and I will say it's an out of body experience because I had no control over the words. I was thinking my mouth is saying words, but I am not in control of any of these words. So when you say like be in the moment, I was not in the moment. Could not have been further away from the moment. And then by the way, anytime someone tells you be in the moment, guess what? You're not in the moment. You're already thinking about it. But I do remember my first like joke, and it totally bombed. And for like 3 weeks afterwards, I would kept rewriting it. I would put the punchline first instead. I was like, it's funny, but it was about coffee. And the joke was like, who saw coffee potential? Who saw some beans on a tree and said, hey, somebody stomp these up. We need some thin paper cups and pour some hot water on this shit. And that was my joke. And no one laughed at it. And I was like, they don't get it. They don't get it. That was my first time on stage. I blame the audience.
Amazing. Mine was a bit unique because I had worked on a comedy tour in like 2010, 2011. And I befriended a couple of comics through that tour. Their names are Jerry Garcia and Jesus Sepulveda. And they're right now they're getting like super big, like Netflix, HBO specials, stuff like that. And when I moved to LA, like 5 years after meeting them, they were like, hey, we're going to put you up for your birthday. Sold out show at the Ice House, 150 people, right into the Lion's Den. And then they were told me, like, I think it was 3 minutes. They're like, we'll give you 3 minutes. You'll go first. We just want you to get started. And then right before I went up, they were like, it's going to be 7 minutes. Go ahead. So it was like the most terrifying thing ever. And I had the same thing, whereas that out-of-body experience where I had zero control over what happened. And then the worst thing of all time happened, and I actually killed for those 7 minutes. It went extremely well. And I thought I was the best thing ever. And then I bombed for like a year straight after that.
Yeah, the Ice House can do that to you. Like, the crowd is so good. So yeah, you might say something there and it's like, oh my God, it's so funny. You just say it somewhere else and you'll be like, is this
Or not.
I've done it. I've done it before. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing I remember is the show right after. I remember thinking like, this is the best. I'm the best at this. Don't even worry. And I went up there and I got on stage, and out of nowhere a ping pong table had came up in the back, and people started playing ping pong like 10 seconds into my set, and I just got so freaked out that I just left 30 seconds into my set. So.
Oh wow. Don't feel too bad. People, I've done comedy one time. People were bowling in the background.
Yeah.
People were walking through the stage. They're like, excuse me, and like walking through. Like, it was, yeah. I have some horror stories. I'm sure we all have some comedy horror stories. But this, this is the life, we chose. Somewhat. What do you guys do to like conquer like being on stage? So, they say public speaking is something people fear, like they just dread public speaking. Me personally, what I do is that I played in my mind is that this is an experience that no one's ever going to see before. Even if I mess up, I'm unique in the way I'm doing things. So this moment in time will never happen. And also, I really don't care what people think. You almost have to like don't give away. Because if you think you care about what people think, then you second guess what you think is funny. So you almost can't care about the critics and stuff like that. And it also it proves true because the bigger you get, you can see like YouTube comments and how nasty and how crazy they can get. You almost have to let things like slide off your back. So what tools do you guys use to like just keep going and just not listen to like any negativity?
I think for me, it took a long time. Those first couple years were really, really, really rough with that. And like, even to this day, I still think there's like a small fragment of me that will be like 10 minutes before a show praying that it gets canceled for whatever reason. That's still there a little bit, but I've learned to harness that because it's an exciting energy now. Like, so before it was like fear because I didn't really know what I was doing, but now it's excitement. And yeah, I just use my mental illness to my advantage.
I love when mental illness can be fun.
Yes, yes.
Always
Turn
is.
that frown upside down. My answer, and it's a boring answer, but it's just repetitions. You just do it over and over and over and over again. It's the boringest answer ever, but it's the only correct one. It's kind of like I would liken it to learning how to drive. Remember when you took driver's ed and you read the book and you took all the written tests and then you finally passed everything? You still didn't know how to drive. You still needed to sit in the car and crash into a few trash cans and rub a few curbs. And so you still needed to learn. You just needed to do it by actually doing the act. So it's just repetitions for me. And you definitely have that fight or flight feeling before something. And it's always it's ironic. The big shows, when you would think you'd be nervous, those are the ones you're most excited because you're like, oh my God, the rim is 6 feet tall. Here, I'm going to slam dunk it everywhere. But when you have those small crowds, you're like, okay, I'm really going to have to work. They're going to be looking at me. And if one bead of sweat comes down, they're going to see it. They're going to know. They're going to know my 6th grade trauma. You can get in your own in an opposite way.
All right. A lot of like a misconception too of people who want to be comedians. They always think that you were the class clown, right? You're so funny. You're probably like one of the funniest people. Like, and me personally, I was shy. I was not like the class clown in high school whatsoever. Like at one point, I had like a huge gap like right here. I had like the Michael Strahan thing going, so I never was like it just made me like shy. But I knew I was always funny because I get around my cousins and we would crack jokes and I'd be funny and stuff like that. But it never dawned on me to try to be a comedian or anything like that. So were you guys class clowns in high school really popular, or were you like the introvert in the corner? How was that?
Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay. Yes and no. Like I grew up in a very small town, so like my graduating class was 40 people, so I knew everybody. So it made it a little easier to, it sucked. It made it a little easier to be funny.
Mine
a
was
lot
bad.
more.
Wait a minute, when did you grow up? What did you grow up? What did you grow up?
I went to high school in Kanab, Utah is the name of the town. And I only went to high school there. Yeah. I like, yeah, I was. Yeah.
Those tattoos say Zion on it. What's going on there, Patrick?
Yeah. It says no Coke, you know.
Coffee with a cross through it.
Yeah. The anti-Mormon stuff is the live set. You gotta. Yeah. But so it was a lot easier. I do remember, like, I wasn't like actively trying to make everyone laugh constantly, but I loved making my friends laugh. That's my answer.
Okay.
I was definitely not the class clown. I was a quiet guy, but you could get me going after a while. It took me a while, but yeah, I was not very talkative. And then when I would be talkative, it would be like, hey, shut up. It was, so all through those like teenage years, I was a human bottle of water. Just people were like, well, what do you do again? If I wrote a book about my high school years, it would be entitled, what was your name again? So But you could get it, like, I think all of us are like this. You could get it out of us. You could get personality out of us, but it takes some time. It takes comfort. It's that person who first day of school is talking their head off that I was like wary about it. Like, I don't know about this person. That person made me nervous. I'm like, this dude's doing something.
That's what I notice about comedians. Me, I like to people watch. I can like people watch all day and try to read people just to like get a feel for like how different people might take jokes and things like that. So definitely setting in the back. All right. So this is a great question I wanted to ask because I just want to get you guys inputs on this. Is it a line? Is it anything off the table in comedy? So for instance, is any subject like I don't think people should talk about that at all. My opinion, I think all comedy is offensive in some way, you know, because you're making fun of yourself, you're making fun of the world as you see it, or you're making fun of your family or something like that. And in order for things to be funny, I think you got to get close to the line, not step over it, but just get almost there. So, and you know, as you guys know, you probably being comedians and going down there and hearing other comedians tell jokes, you probably heard the most craziest things that weren't even close to being funny, like security. But is it anything off the table in comedy? First question. And do you think it's a line in comedy?
I'll go first if you want. All the air just got sucked out of the Zoom. Woo. Woo.
This is getting deep, Patrick.
Yeah,
Never mind, Patrick. I'll take it.
All right. I don't think that there's anything off the table for comedy. I do think that there are certain things that are off the table for certain comedians. Like, just because everything is available as a joke doesn't mean everybody has the skill set to make it funny. Like, there are things that I know that I don't have the life experience to make that funny, so I would never touch it. And I think a lot of people get wrapped up in, I just want to be offensive, and they forget, like, that the main goal is to be funny. Because I've heard some atrocious shit be funny because it comes from a real place that has, like, heart behind it, and it's not done in malice. But I also don't want to be a comedy cop. Like, so it's really the audience's decision. They'll tell you if it's not funny, and you don't get to say, oh, well, whatever, cancel culture. It's like, no, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make them laugh. They get to decide.
I'll give my super woke answer. Everything is on the table as long as it's funny. As long as we're getting laughs, everyone's the belle of the ball. Until someone bombs, you're like, that guy's an asshole. If you think about it, we've been having this question asked for 50 fucking years. Go back and watch any stand-up special from the 90s, from the 80s, and a comic will be saying, the world's getting too PC, man. We've been saying that since the 80s. So we're always going to have this issue. Everything's on the table as far as humor. Nothing's offensive. The only thing it should be offensive to you is for humor's sake. They're like, oh, that wasn't funny. It shouldn't be offensive in some sort of broader picture because it's in a context. It's in a context of humor. Unless you really believe it, unless you're doing super duper or white power Nazi jokes, be like, that guy's committed to his material, then it might. But if you're under the premise of comedy, everything is allowed to be tried. It's a risk. You're taking a risk. Yeah. No one really believes it. But I get in another 30 years, we'll be still having this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what is offensive? What isn't? Who can say what? So, but that's what
I say that because everybody has like the social media, so they can see everything in real time, so you can get everyone's opinion on everything. So, cancel culture is like, it gets more and more in depth now. So that's why I asked that question, because you can say something that you might not think is offensive, but trust and believe somebody will get offended somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone will get
offended
somewhere, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going to please everybody in the crowd, get a laugh out of everybody, you're never going to bat 1,000. You got to know that going in. You got to do what you find the most funny is to you and present it in that context.
Yeah, as long as you're okay with it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then like professional comedy shows, when people go to professional comedy shows,
I said, I think David Duke said that. As long as you're okay with it.
What was that? My Zoom went out. What was that?
Hold on. I'm reestablishing the connection.
Who's David Duke? Oh.
Is it possible to cancel yourself? David Duke was a former white supremacist dude who ran for Congress.
Patrick, I know who David Duke is. Oh, look at me. I know who he is.
Sorry, I was just going through my Rolodex of Blue-Eyed Devil Hall of Famers there.
David Duke, Richard Spencer. I don't know. I know who to look out for now.
I've seen Black Klansman. Come on.
It was a good movie, by the way. Denzel, his son looks just like him. They look.
Sounds
you know
like
that was his son, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Talks like him and everything. All right. Next question. What is your biggest disappointment in comedy? Because a lot of people see successful comedians, they see like, oh my God, Kevin Hart, he's so successful. I actually bought Kevin Hart's book, listened to it on Audible. He has so many huge disappointments that you would think most people would like quit at that point. And I know me doing comedy, I had some biggest disappointments before. I drove one time from North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, to do like a 5-minute spot for a contest and didn't place at all. And I had to turn back around and drive back home. So that and some other just bit disappointments. So in comedy, and of course you get told no when you submit for things or you submit for festivals and you see people get on festivals and they're doing this and that and that and this. So what is one of your biggest like blows, like biggest punch to the face when it comes to stand-up comedy?
You want to go first?
Sure. Biggest disappointment. Well, first, the day's not over. Well, I think we all have that story, at least living in LA. We all have that one big club disappointment story. I have a disappointing story at each and every big club in town. But my one good one is I had a show at the Comedy Store. It was one of the first times I've ever been here too, and I was excited to do it. I made my little tweets about it, saying I was going to be on the show, and then the show went too long and I got bumped. I didn't even get to go. So I didn't even get to go on. My brother came to the show with me, so he didn't even get to see me there. And then the worst part is this show, the host who ran the show could have totally fit me in. She just rambles between comics. So we went too long. And then the worst part is you walk down the stairs, we're leaving, and there's a line packed to go into the next show. Almost kind of like, okay, we're here to see the actual comedy show now. So that was a bruise. Another one I had where after a show, all the comics kind of stand along the wall and the audience members go, oh, good job. I enjoyed the show. And an audience member goes, good job, good job. And he gets to the third person in line after they shook our hands and goes, hey, I really enjoyed your comedy. The other two, but you were good.
You too.
Then I had a club owner once. I wasn't on the show. I came to hang out, watch the show. He knew me. I was a comic. And after the show, the club owner goes, hey, you did really good up there. Good job. Good job. And I'm like, I didn't go up. I wasn't on the show.
That's classic. Oh man.
That was a good one. I didn't have the heart to tell.
Is that ha-ha?
This was in Salt Lake City at the time when I was living in Salt Lake. Like, great job. I really like that one thing. I was like, I didn't go up.
I've had a lot of those similar experiences, and the one that came to mind is I've spent a couple shows where people will come out and they'll be like, great set, and just skip right over me. I've had that before. The funny one that came to mind when you asked the question was last year I did a show for an audition, and the person booking came up to me and asked me if I was doing anything other than stand-up. And at the time I was doing a lot of sketch writing. Right. So I was like, yeah. So I was like, I'm doing a lot of writing. And she goes, oh, good. You have a face for writing. Okay. And then
fuck you.
I was like, what? It was great. The most heart-wrenching one was probably this year, though, because I spent the first 3 months getting really, really prepped because I got offered to feature on a tour that was going to be like the West Coast region, and it was going to be the first time I've ever been able to do that, and it was scheduled for April. So it did not happen, and we have been informed it will never happen. So, you know, that sucked.
Oh,
Aw.
Another good comedy
rest in
discipline
peace.
one. In
Yeah.
case
Well, stick in there, buddy. You're gonna make it. You're gonna.
Be all right.
There's room
like
enough
the
at the top for
comedy,
you, Patrick.
I like the comedy response when you do your set and then someone asks you afterwards, "Hey, how long you been doing it for?" There's no that is correct because they heard, you could say 1 year and they'd be like, "Well, that's good for 1 year," or you could say 12 years and be like, "Oh, that guy stings." You cannot win. Someone asks you how long you've been doing it for.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I don't even tell people how long I've been doing comedy. Yeah, man. Those stories can be disappointing. It just dawned on me. I tried to forget this, but you just re-put it back in my head. The time I got kicked off a cruise ship, which was
What?
Oh, yeah.
I
I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
I'm still a little salty about that. So I get a call.
Man overboard.
First of all, I get the opportunity to even do cruise ships. So one day I get a call from the agent, and he's like, the person that was on the cruise ship, the comedian, they kind of kicked him off. They drug test him, and apparently he had marijuana. So they kicked him off, and so
On
it's
a
like,
cruise, get out of here.
do it. The crew, yeah, I think they were hunting for him because he wasn't an employee. So they do random drug tests, and apparently they drug test him. And even though he lived in Las Vegas and it's legal in Las Vegas, you know, cruise ships were like their own law, their own little land. So they called me. The guy called me. He's like, how fast can you get on a plane? I was like, I could do it today. They booked me a flight from like, I don't know, from like Burbank to like the Bahamas, like straight shot. And like on the plane, I'm like writing these jokes out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Because they want you to do like 45 minutes. But they want you to do, first set gotta be like squeaky clean, like the kid could be in the audience. Second set, it's like you could be PG-13. So I get there, I do my jokes. I thought it went great. Like both sets went great. I'm good. It was an older guy in the audience with some Allen Iverson cornrows, and I kind of like pointed that out because that needed to be pointed out. I don't know. He was like 58, white guy with like cornrows, like Iverson, like crossed up and everything. I was like, what is going on? So, and he was drunk. So it was, but I thought the show went good, right? I have people shaking my hands, blase, blase, blase. 2 days go by, right? The ship docks. I get back on the ship, and then like the production manager's like, "Oh, come to my office." And I came up there, and it's like, "Oh yeah, we had a customer complaint, so we're gonna have to send you home." And so, right there in the middle of like, I don't know where we were. We were coming back from Mexico or something like that for the cruise ship, and they just dropped me off in Key West and gave me a plane ticket, and it was like, peace. I was like, oh, okay. So that kind of hurt because I don't even know what I did. Like I didn't curse or anything like that, and so, and yeah, I kind of like loved that opportunity because I had some more book dates coming up. This was before COVID and everything, and so I called for the future dates, and they're like, oh yeah, they replaced you. So yeah, I lost out.
Oh, that hurts.
But I'm still in it. Who are your top 5? Well, let's do this. Who are your top 3 comedians? Like, who do you look? No, let's do top 5. Top 5 comedians that you look at and be like, those, like, you try to, like, figure out their formula because you just think they're, like, the funniest people.
You can take this one first.
Mine are all the traditional ones, you know, Tom Arnold, Howie Mandel, a dude with a parrot. No. Everybody always gives the classic ones that we're like, oh, no one ever is like, you know who inspired me? Carrot Top. Anybody, I'll tell you the first one, not that
Jeff Dunham.
Oh,
jeez.
I like puppets. All right.
Not enough credit for puppeteers. You know who one of the first people I saw, and I never emulated myself after him, but I was super impressed, My dad took me and my brother in the 90s to go see Carlos Mencia at the height of Carlos Mencia time. And he took us, we were like teenagers. And like, I had never heard so many consecutive curse words in a row before. And I looked over and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? And my dad was laughing his head off. So I was like, whoa, check this out. Look, like I never seen my dad laugh this hard. But it was never something like I saw that. I was like, I can do that. There's comics you see and you'd be like, okay, if I work hard, I could do that. And some comics you see and you'd be like, no, I can't do that. But that was one of the first times where I was like, oh, I didn't know anybody could speak and get this much reaction from just speech from it. So yeah, and then my dad took my dad loved Carlos Mencia and then he took my mom the month after and then they got in a huge fight.
Oh.
On the way home. She's like, you took your two sons to see this guy?
Oh man. Does your dad still like Carlos Mencia?
Yeah. My dad, it's odd. My dad loves comedy. He has good taste. My dad is not funny. My dad is not funny, but he has great taste. If you ever watch the movie National Lampoon's Summer Vacation, where they drive across the country, my dad looks like Chevy Chase. He wears the high khaki shorts. He wears the big glasses. He wears the loafers with no socks. And you'd be like,
the white spot of sunblock right here on the.
Yep. My dad is a huge dork, but he has no clue. Like, Dad, why are you wearing cargo pants with holes in them? And he'll be like, what are you talking about? He has no clue what he does. He just does his own thing. So my dad likes Carlin, Seinfeld. He likes Lenny Bruce. He likes really, really good comics. But my dad has told the same joke for the past 35 years. And he tells it to my parents, and they laugh their heads off at him every time. I'm like, this is where it comes from. This is why he thinks he's funny. You keep laughing at his jokes for 30 plus years, and he tells the same joke every Sunday to my grandma and my grandpa, and they laugh their heads off at him. My grandparents are to blame.
It's always the parents.
Yeah. Let's see. I kind of mentioned mine a little bit. I started with like late night talk shows like Conan O'Brien and Craig Ferguson were like a really big influence to me really early on. Just like the stylistically, like Craig Ferguson was super punk rock with his comedy and I always loved that. And then Conan was just insane. So it was like cool to see like weirdos and stuff like that. One of the very first stand-up shows I saw like actually live, because again, remember I was in a small town in Utah. There was not a lot of stand-up to go see, was Hannibal Buress. And I always really, really liked him. And this was like right after the Bill Cosby incident. So everything, like the first like 25 minutes was him going off about what had happened and it was amazing. And I was like, this is what it could be to me. Who else? I have to put Whitney Cummings in there because she's been super cool to me a couple times and like has like kind of like and it's always been like right when I'm like I think I'm gonna fucking quit and then she happens to drop in on something I'm doing and then like she's super nice. I think that was 5. Was that 5? I don't know. I wasn't counting.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go with that.
I think my top is like right now because I changed them is of course Patrice O'Neal, Dave Chappelle, Neil Brennan, Bill Burr. Yeah, that's it right now. 4 for right now. I will say Louis C.K., but I don't want to get canceled. Right?
What parts did you like?
That's what the
comedy. I like comedy you don't see coming.
Canceled.
Yeah, but all right. Next question is, what's the worst comment you ever got? Like either on social media or like in person, like the worst comment you ever got. Like you scrolling through your video, you ever put your video on YouTube? Because sometimes the Laugh Factory, they'll put your video on their YouTube and then they'll get like, you don't know, like 100 and something comments. And you'll see that one person who just hit you like right here, like they knew you. Like, oh my God, that really hurt my feelings. It has nothing to do with the joke half the time. They just say, this guy, and it's like, what's the worst comment you ever saw about your comedy or about you in general?
I got 2. I got 2 comments, and the first one is I had my little video up there. Oh no, sorry, this was a Yelp review from a show I was on at a club. So I was on the show, went pretty good, I thought, and then I read the reviews, and one of the guys comments on my set specifically, and he says how much he liked it. It was great, and then he wrote at the bottom, and he described what he liked about me, but he was describing another comic. He was describing the guy after me or before me or whatever. I was like, hey, I didn't even get my compliment. This is bad. This is worse than saying I sucked. So he wrote this like Lifetime Achievement Award speech under my video, but he was describing another comic, and it was obvious it was another comic because he was like, he described him physically and it wasn't me. And in the second one I got under a video I put up, the first comic just said, nah. It's like comic. Joe Smo 3000 comments, nah.
That's good. That's really good.
Oh man. What about all right, what about you, Patrick?
Mine's a bit of a unique answer. I think the meanest thing anybody's ever said to me is nothing. A lot of the times I post stuff and I just get nothing, and that hurts so much worse than anything you can craft.
You know what else is a good mean comic is when you're like, thanks for coming to the show, and they're like, keep at it, and they just keep walking.
Yes, that one sucks.
Oh, you know what's worse is like when you did good, but they don't like you, so they ask you to take the picture of you.
Oh,
the other
yes.
comic, and they give you the phone. They're like, can you
That's
take this? You don't want me to? Okay, all right.
I've taken a lot of pictures of comics that have done well on shows.
Oh man. So all right. What are you guys' upcoming projects? Like, what do you guys got coming up next? Like, what's a big thing you got? If you even got anything at all. I just recently am about to sign with like a college agency, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And I don't know, how that's gonna work out, but I'm still gonna go forward with that. So that's kind of like my little high right now. So what are you guys upcoming projects you got coming?
This sounds like bullshit, but there are a couple things that I can't talk about, so that's cool.
Oh, so
That's
Hollywood.
Oh.
I know. So that's
Tom
exciting.
Cruise. It's a project.
I am super stoked because I'm bringing back. I ran a monthly show for a long time in Pomona, and we've been obviously down with COVID, and we're about to start on Zoom on the 19th, which you will be at. So make sure you check that out. That I'm very excited about that. And yeah, I'll stay tuned for the other things.
Well, I also can't talk about Patrick's projects, so I won't.
True. Yeah, that's true. It covered all Patrick's. All Patrick's. Yeah.
I can't talk about any projects that I am not currently on. Thank you. Well, the whole lockdown club shutdown has put a hurdle in front of all of us performers. So we've had to kind of look to different creative ways to stay active. So for me, Zoom shows and stuff were step one, but I started doing a podcast Zoom show where I interview people and we break down scenes from movies. EL, you did one. And we basically break down whether something the person is really interested in, and they sort of coach me up on it. So the one me and EL did was about John Starks, the basketball player. And we did the John Starks slam dunk. Another one I did was I talked to a friend of mine about the play Hamilton. I know nothing about Broadway plays. So she gave me a education Hamilton. And then just in case you're looking for one in the middle, we did another friend of mine with the classic Beverly Hills 90210 episode where Dylan chooses Kelly over Brenda. So pretty well-rounded stuff. I don't like to use the term highbrow too much, but it's solely dependent on my Hulu subscription at this point. But yeah, you should do one too, Patrick. We'll think of something.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm down.
Look at that, making connections like that.
Woo!
Did you guys know each other prior to this? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys?
We've done some shows together.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I took a picture of him once after a show.
Someone complimented him and then passed me. Yeah, it's fine.
That's right.
All right. I think the last question is what's your end game? Like, what do you want from comedy? Like, what do you want from this? Like, why are you in it? Like, for me, I want to be a writer for a late night talk show and then have the name to where I can say, oh, I want to go to the Denver Improv for the weekend and draw a crowd of people to come and see that show. I just want to be right there. Like I can still walk through the mall, but not get recognized or anything like that. I don't want to be like super huge.
Which mall?
I just want a mall that still has a Sears. No, I'm just playing. Man, that's my thing. I want to write for a late night show. I'll do movies if I have to, if I have to.
If you have to, yeah. If you
but
have
that's not the goal. That's not the goal. But and of course make lots of money with it. So
yeah.
What is your end game, Patrick?
Yeah, you have it specifically drawn out. I never thought of it that way. My goal is in the broad sense to progress. But I think you said an interesting point these days with stand-up, because if you say these days, hey, I want to be a stand-up comedian, the response is, okay, great. You got to do something other than stand-up. And then you can be a stand-up comedian. Yeah. So yeah, when you say like, I need to do something where I can do stand-up comedy and draw people on the road, the model is totally changed now, where the club system is the VCR of stand-up now. There's no more going to little shows and building and hoping the club owner watches you. Yeah. There's no more development, and not to their fault. It's not their responsibility to develop you because they have plenty of comics. They don't need comics anymore. So you have to really do it on your own. And the good thing is you can do it on your own. We have a mid-level production company in our pockets, all of us these days, in our phones. So my goal is to progress and, like you, be able to do stand-up on the road for more people, for bigger crowds, for different regions of the country. So keep growing, keep writing, and develop something that is uniquely you.
How am I supposed to top that?
You can't. Zoom's over.
Yeah. So my answer is I agree with a lot of that. I want to know that there is an end game. That's where I'm at right now, that this isn't all for naught. But I would love to get to the point where I can basically just do whatever I want, where because I have a lot of weird things that are hard to pitch to somebody to make. And I want to get to the point where they're like, we're just going to give you money and you just make whatever you want. That's my goal right
now. Okay. Good questions, man. Anybody has questions?
Good questions. You wrote them.
Patrick?
Hey, Patrick, good answers.
Actually, no, I got them. I got them from somebody's YouTube. That's what I got them from. I just Googled it. Day and age, man. Yeah, man. So you know what? I think I'm gonna end it right here. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys for Patrick. Thank you for coming, Patrick. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. With comedy, we're just trying to stay fresh and stay new with it, and keep growing with it. And yeah, man. So that's it. And thank you guys for coming, man.
That was great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Well done, guys.
All right.
Thank you. That was
Good
fun.
show. I love it.
For on a Friday night. I mean, you can't really see it because my camera's fucked, but.
No, man. Thank you guys all for coming, man.
I don't know who said that.
I'm sorry.
Till next time. This was a good run. So I think I may do it again. It depends on the comments.
Definitely.
It depends on the comments I get from people. I might get some nasty YouTube comments. So it's
Do it.
Someone might say, nah.
Nah.
It'll be more diverse too. It won't be two guys named Patrick.
Oh, Lord.
Ouch.
Hispanic guys named Patrick.
Branch out to a Kevin or something.
Yeah. Man.
That was great.
All right, guys.
All right.